Hi everybody, welcome back to Country Girl with Kathy Jarvis. And today we're going to put up some of the tomatoes that we've been getting. Now it's a cooler day today. It's like 87 degrees outside, but I still don't want to heat up my kitchen, and I don't want to be standing at the stove for 6 hours to make tomato sauce. So I'm going to do it in my crock pot. Now, first thing you need to do is get your tomatoes, wash them, stem them, and roughly chop them. You can use up to 4 quarts. I'm only using 2 quarts today. If you don't have enough to make the 4 quarts and you want to wait until then, you can freeze your tomatoes whole and then put them and chop them up and put them into the crock pot once you get the 4 quarts. But you can have this recipe, which I'm doing today, and use 2 quarts, which is 8 cups of chopped tomatoes. So that's what I did. I have the 8 cups of chopped tomatoes in here. We're going to put them into the base of the crock pot, and we're going to let them cook for approximately 8 hours with the lid on. So let's get working. Make sure the bottom of your pot, your crock, is completely dry before you put it into your base. Now, if you have whole cloves, you can put 2 minced cloves into this, or peeled cloves into this now. Or you can wait until later and use garlic powder. I'm going to use garlic powder a little bit later on. Now you put cover your crock pot and turn it on low for up to 8 to 10 hours. Now the beauty about this is that you can use any type of tomato that you have. You can use cherry tomatoes, you can use the beefsteak tomatoes, sliced tomatoes, or the meaty little romaine tomatoes. All of them will work in this recipe. But I don't have to do anything to this now for the next 8 hours. I'll check on it occasionally, but I don't have to constantly stir it like you would if you were doing it over your stove. So we'll come back and we'll check on this in 8 hours, and we'll go to the next step. Alright everybody, it's been 10 hours. I've turned this off. I've let it set for a half hour, and now we're going to transfer the tomatoes into a small, try not to get much juice, leave the juice behind as much as possible. I'm going to put it into a bowl. This is what it looks like right now. And we're going to let this come to, leave it cool. Leave as much juice in there as possible. I picked up the wrong ladle. I should have picked up it's the one I want. Let's do this with a slotted spoon. It'd be a lot easier. You can get the juice out. You want the tomatoes. It's okay if there's a little bit of juice in there. You just don't want the majority of it. At this point, you leave it cool down some more, and then you put this either in a food processor or into a blender to puree these tomatoes. And then once you get them all the right consistency that you want, you put them into your freezing containers. But right now we're just leaving this cool. And it's late at night. You can have your choice. You can either go ahead and do this tonight, leave it cool down some more. You want so it's cool enough that there's no steam, so it won't, so the steam when it's working won't pop your top of your blender off, or your food processor, or however, or you can even use a hand blender, immersion, yeah, I think they're called immersion blenders, where you stick it in and just blend it that way, which I will probably use with this. Now, this liquid, we're going to save that, and this will be good to, you can freeze this in a separate little container and use that for stock for your vegetable soups or for your bean soups and stuff. So I'm going to put this in the fridge and leave it set overnight, because it's already like 12:30 in the morning, and finish this in the morning. So I'll see you in the morning. All right, so the next morning we got this out and we're going to finish this process. I did go ahead and freeze the tomato stock, the liquid that was on there. I froze that last night while it was still warm. Now we've got the cooked tomatoes we're going to put into a blender. You might want to do this in batches, depending upon how much you have and how much your blender will take. Yep. Notice there's a little bit, a little bit of liquid on here. That's fine. Looks like I'm gonna get all in this one. Put that on your blender. Put the top on snugly. You don't want it coming off. And you hit the 3. And it doesn't take long to make a beautiful sauce. But we do need to add our spices. You can leave this just a plain tomato sauce if you want, or you can add a little bit of a flavor to it. I'm going to add to this I think I'm going to add about a half a teaspoon of garlic. Definitely going to add some oregano. I love oregano. Going to add about 1/4 of a teaspoon of that. Going to add about 1/4 of a teaspoon of basil. Now you could use basil, or you could use Italian seasonings. I'm going to go with the basil if I can find it. There it is. Again, 1/4 of a teaspoon. We're not on a lot of salt, so I'm only going to add 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, but your salt will help cut down on and then I'm going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of olive oil. Put the top back on. Mix this all together. And you have yourself some nice tomato sauce. Next thing to do is decide what you want, how you want to freeze this. You can freeze it in plastic, you can freeze it in glass, or you can freeze it in the bags. I'm going to freeze this in the glass jars that I have washed in the dishwasher so they're nice and clean. And we're going to put them in there and make sure you mark the top. I like to use the chalk pins. That way when you're done you can just wipe it off. So that's nice. Now the good thing about this, calorie wise, this is only like 83 calories. And it's got like 3 grams of protein, 2 grams of fat, and 15 grams of carbohydrates. So it's a pretty good low calorie sauce. And you can, when you freeze it, when you unthaw this, you just put it in the refrigerator to unthaw it overnight, or you can just heat it up over the stove. You can add more flavoring to it then if you want to spice it up somewhat. But that's how I'm doing some of my tomatoes this year. It takes up a lot less room than the whole tomatoes do, because this is equivalent to that in the fridge and in the freezer. So, hope you try the recipe. Hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to give it a thumbs up if you did. Share it with your friends. Let me know in the comments below how you're saving your tomatoes for winter. And remember, dream big, follow that dream, and I'll see you in the next video. Like, share, and subscribe. Bye.